ask yourself this. Would you believe a 15-year-old kid was working for the federal government?
But he was.
In theaters on September 14th comes White Boy Rick, based on the unbelievable true story of the youngest FBI informant ever. Inspired by Rick's story, we explore the little-known use of underage informants in the United States.
The police take a lot of risks when they use a civilian, especially when they're using kids. Rachel Hoffman was a 23-year-old college student.
LeBron Gaither.
Andrew Sadek. Branda Besh.
White Boy Rick.
20-year-old.
16-year-old.
14-year-old.
19-year-old. Caught smoking a blunt.
Selling about $80 worth of weed.
He's taken away and told he could face a serious sentence or he could come to work for the cops.
This is an easy way out.
He was so young and so vulnerable. The cops lost track of him.
In the midst of an operation, they lost her.
She then wound up dead in the lake. White Boy Rick
was convicted when he was 17, still serving prison sentence.
Confidential informants are basically the foot soldiers in the war on drugs.
Law enforcement's lifeblood is information.
The FBI comes to him and says, we want you to be an informant because we've traced bodies back to guns that your dad made.
They just know he's going to be useful and helpful if they can figure out a way to get to him, and they do through his family.
You see all kinds of informants. It's everything from people who are being paid to do this work to people who are young and have very little experience with the criminal justice system. One day you're a kid driving down the road with some pot in your car, and the next day you're going into a freakishly dangerous drug sting to do an operation that may kill you. One of the parallels I see with White Boy Rick and a lot of the kids who were harmed as confidential informants is that kids have this sense of adventure. They have this sense that things are going to be okay.
Going undercover is the most dangerous type of police work, and yet we're using civilians to do it. We still, at all 50 states, kids can be used to go undercover. 46 states, there's no regulation at all.
You're gonna buy drugs for us. You're gonna do what we call controlled buys. It's gonna help us determine where the drugs are being sold so we can get warrants.
I think the public will be shocked to know how many kids are used as informants, how ill-regulated the landscape is, and how often disastrous consequences unfold.
You're gonna get in too deep, and then they're gonna let you out.
Catch the story of the most infamous young informant in FBI history, White Boy Rick, in theaters September 14th.